Welcome back to This Week in Plymouth. I'm your host, Dan Salzer. The Planning Board met on May 2nd at their regular time at Town Hall for a work session meeting after the last one was canceled. The board spent the beginning of the meeting talking about goals for this year, as well as some scheduling changes. The board also met with Judy Barrett of the Barrett Planning Group to talk about the subdivision regulation amendments.
So we've talked about this a little bit before, and we've had a draft to look at before, and now we have amendments to this draft. Do you want to give us a little bit of update on what has changed since the last one?
So there had been some concern the last time I think this was discussed about having kind of a minimum acreage requirement in some districts and not others. If you didn't meet that minimum acreage requirement, you had to kind of go through some extra steps to justify the use of the OSRD. That has come out. So there's no minimum acreage requirement. There are density bonuses in here. They've been revised somewhat from the original proposal. They total 75%. That's the kind of the maximum density bonus that would be allowed. There are terms that needed to be updated in the subdivision piece of this in order to be consistent with the zoning ordinance. That's been taken care of. So at this point, I think you need to decide, are you comfortable with this? And if so, are you going to adopt it?
So all in favor of having a public hearing scheduled for June 6th, say aye.
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 Okay, so the motion has passed. Thank you all, having gotten this yesterday on the board, for just reading it just now and making our way through this. Which the fact that we could read it just now and make our way through it, I think is testament to how much of an easier read it is at this point.
Yeah.
Fully agreed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Town Planner Joseph Perez also gave the board an update from the New Hampshire DOT's 10-year plan.
Update on 2027 through 2036 New Hampshire DOT 10-year plan.
So there's a process within that called regional priority projects, which allows towns to advocate for certain projects through their regional planning commission to be added to the state's 10-year plan. And if successful, each regional planning commission gets a certain number of projects. It's relevant as well because this is the process applicable to the Smith Bridge Road intersection. So years ago, the town went through this cycle you see here and got that project designated as a regional priority project. It was added to the 10-year plan, and it's sort of, it's on the conveyor belt working its way towards us, scheduled for construction in 2032. The reason that I wanted to talk to the board was because, it certainly has a lot of relevance to master planning, this process, because there are very specific roads in town that it's able to be used for. So last year, some of the board members may recall, we submitted an application through this process to have improvements on Main Street north of Toby Road. The town had submitted a request for improvements to that stretch of road. It is per the police department's crash data, aside from Tenny Mountain Highway, Smith Bridge Road intersection, that is the next highest incidence of collisions in that stretch of road. With the select board and planning board and all the town's discussions last cycle, that's what the town asked to have added to the 10-year plan. It was ranked as a regional priority, but did not get ranked high enough that it got funded and added to the plan. It appears that it would really be beneficial to the town to submit another request to have this project considered.
I think we should definitely move forward with it.
Moving into this past week, the Plymouth Elementary School Board met on May 6th, and the Pemmy-Baker Regional School Board met on May 7th. All meetings are available on demand on Pemmy-Baker TV's YouTube channel or throughout the week on Channel 1301. Moving on to this week's announcements, the Water and Sewer Commissioners meeting scheduled for Tuesday, May 14th has been canceled. There is no date set for their next meeting at this time. The Plymouth Planning Board will be continuing several public hearings on May 16th at 6:30 p.m. The hearing will be for the hotel by Smith Bridge Road and a new commercial residential hybrid building on Yetton Road and the change-approved infrastructure on Mountain View Farm subdivision. The Select Board will be also hosting a public hearing on May 28th at 5:15 during its regular meeting for the scenic roadway work on Old Hebron Road. You can join these public hearings either in person or via the town's Zoom link that can be found on the town website at www.plymouthnh.gov. The Plymouth Police Department is currently looking for a new police sergeant. All details of the job can be found on the Police Department Facebook page. All resumes and applications are to be sent to Deputy Chief Buffington before May 30th. The Town Memorial Day ceremony will be held on Monday the 27th of May, with the parade beginning at 10:30 a.m. and will be followed up by the ceremony happening in front of Town Hall. We'll have live coverage right here on Pemmy Baker TV. Peace Public Library will be hosting an event discussing the ethical challenges of AI and its uses, presented by Herman Tavani. This presentation will be held in the community room on the 15th at 6 p.m. The library will also be hosting a mystery Bring Your Own Book group on the 20th at 6 p.m. If you enjoy reading mysteries and love to talk about your books, you can bring your favorite book to talk about with like-minded individuals. It's now time for sports. For the first time in program history, the Plymouth State University men's lacrosse program captured the Little East Conference Tournament Championship and made their first tournament appearance in the NCAAs since 1976. The Panthers battled hard against number 5 St. Lawrence in the first round, but fell 14-6, closing out a historic season with a 15-5 record. On the women's side, the Panthers battled through the Little East Conference Tournament to capture the program's 10th conference title and back-to-back title with a dominant 15-6 win over rivals Keene State in the championship 2 weekends ago. The Panthers' season came to an end after a tough loss to number 19 MIT in the first round of the NCAA tournament 18-10. PSU closes out its season with a 13-7 record. Moving over to high school sports, the PRHS girls lacrosse team holds a 4-6 record heading into the final 2 weeks of the season. The Bobcats Senior Day is scheduled for this Wednesday the 15th at 4 p.m. The boys lacrosse team currently sits in 4th in the NHIAA Division III standings with a 6-2 record. Plymouth will play 4 of its last 5 games at home as the Bobcats look to lock up a strong playoff position. PRHS softball looks to close out the final 2 weeks of the season on a strong note. The Bobcats currently have a 1-8 record after their May 1st dominant win over Lebanon, 11-2. Baseball continues with one of the strongest seasons in program history with a 9-1 record, sitting second in NHIAA Division II standings, only behind undefeated John Stark. The Bobcats kick off a 3-game road trip starting this Monday, the 13th, before wrapping up the regular season with battles against John Stark and Kennett at home. Looking at this week's meeting, the Select Board will be meeting on the 13th at 5 p.m. and the Planning Board will be meeting on the 16th at 6:30 p.m., both in the meeting rooms at Town Hall. For our executive producer, Jonathan Picard, I'm Dan Salzer. Stay up to date with everything happening around the town by joining the town newsletter. Information and archive copies can be found on the town website. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time here on This Week in Plymouth.